Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Slave Ages podcast. On this very special episode, I have an opportunity to interview a wonderful musician who's inside of Atlanta, and he will talk about his debut album. Travis Hall, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm super excited to be here today.
I'm glad to have you. I know that Heart Museum comes out in October. I believe it's October
Yes.
22nd, 2025. I've been listening to the album and it's really good. I'm really excited for you. So let me ask you, your background is opera, and your musical background is opera. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
How did you get into opera and then make the transition to R&B?
So originally, so musically, my roots, I guess, would sort of be me riding around in the car with my mom a lot, who had me at a later age than most moms of my classmates when I was in school. And so she listened to a lot of old school music from the 60s and 70s, things she liked. Like she loves Marvin Gaye, she loves Bobby Womack. So I grew up hearing those songs all the time by ear. And then we would also watch a lot of Disney films, which, were usually orchestrated by Alan Menken, and they're basically classical musical theater-ish in style. And so I wanted to be an R&B singer from the beginning, but I was very shy as a child, didn't want to sing in front of anyone, being an only child. And so went to high school, well, lost my voice along the way in middle school, thought I would never sing again. Started singing again in high school, and I wanted to be an R&B singer and somehow ended up in college after being told I couldn't sing by my high school choir teacher and I shouldn't pursue music at all. Ended up in college which was classical, usually, because it usually is. And they were like, "You have a knack for this." And I was like, okay. And so that's just what I did. And so for a very long time, my focus was literally opera. I wanted to sing at the Met, which I still plan to do one day, and La Scala and all of the major opera houses around the world. And then one day, the spirit, the universe, God, whatever you call it, told me to work on an album, and I hadn't even thought of doing R&B ever again. Like I literally was like, what? So started doing it, and so it's kind of full circle, which is strange but beautiful, at the same time. Because I
That's
didn't plan it.
interesting.
I didn't plan that detour. Yeah.
That's a very interesting path. My husband said that he got into opera through Disney. And I thought that's really interesting
Mm.
because a lot of the earlier Disney movies use incorporate opera in some of their shows. And I
Yeah, a lot of
noticed
it.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, and one of your, I think on your website, maybe, or your Facebook, you talk about one of the operas you performed here in Atlanta, Barber
Of
of Seville,
Seville.
which is one of
Hmm.
my favorites by far. Very
Same.
demanding. Yeah, very demanding.
Very demanding. And I think Barber is used in a lot of people grew up with it because it's in the I with the rabbit. What is it called? Is it a rabbit? Is he a rabbit?
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's Tom and Jerry.
Yes, sir, I think it was Bugs Bunny. I think it.
Bugs Bunny, that's what it is. It was a
Right,
rabbit. Thank
right,
you.
right, 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 right.
Bugs Bunny, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting path, especially being told in high school that, hey, you can't do this. And obviously, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a singer, but I would imagine that, well, opera uses different chops than R&B and rock and pop, certainly.
Yeah.
But it is extremely challenging. And also coming up with, well, really being able to move forward something which has been sung, most operas have been sung thousands and thousands of times, and be convincing is a particular challenge. So for you go, not, I won't say back, but to popular music and R&B is also a big jump for you. And I know, well, talk a little bit about your influences with regard to pop music and R&B and soul.
So my favorite favorite singer is Mariah Carey. I love her catalog, love her writing, love just her producing, I just love how everything comes together. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. But I'm also a huge fan of Ashford and Simpson and um Angela Winbush. It's always hard to give a list of people my influences because honestly, I love basically every artist from the 60s through the 80s. I mean, they're all so great, so greatly talented. Whether it's the vocals, whether it's the production, whether it's the style, whether it's the stage presence. Like I love Labelle, the group Labelle. Speaking of stage presence, Patti LaBelle.
Mhm.
Like they're all very unique. Which I enjoy. You know, I always tell people you can look at the 90s and there were so many girl groups, right? You had Escape, you had In Vogue, you had TLC, you had Destiny's Child, but they all are different. And I think it's easy for me to be a fan of everybody because they all have their unique signature. But yeah. But specifically, I do love Ashford and Simpson. I do love Luther Vandross. I do love Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, Donny Hathaway. Like I love music, all the great music makers.
Yeah, Valerie Simpson is one of my favorite singers. She's a
Mm,
great lead vocalist, she's a great background vocalist, and she's a
hmm
great composer. And of course, Nicholas Asher's no longer with us, but what a wonderful duet, what a wonderful history. So
mm.
let's talk a little bit about Heart Museum. When did you decide to move forward with the project?
So the Spirit mentioned to me to work on an album in, I think, maybe 2020. And so I would wake up every day and just record on my phone I had never songwritten in my life, mind you.
Wow.
So I would just record little snippets of things every day when I woke up. I would just record on my phone and send it to my friend group. And I'm sure they were like, what is this? You know, now that I listen back to those recordings, they're pitchy. There is like I was crawling literally as a songwriter. And then the first two songs I wrote were A Day, which was influenced by kind of early 90s, some Luther style songs. And then I wrote Fireflies, which is based off of um, when my last partner and I met. And so I finished those songs. I was going to get a master's. Georgia State offered me a full ride master's, and I declined it. I was like, no, I don't know if I want to go there or if I want to go to school. And then they offered it to me again. And so my intent with the album was I wanted to create music but recreate the feeling that I feel when I listen to the old standard music that I love. Like there's a feeling, and I can't quite explain what it is, but there's a feeling that I get when I listen to those songs. And so I proposed maybe that it was because there were live instruments. So I
Mm.
decided to use the masters as a way to come in contact with live musicians in a music department. So, so I would say 2020, and then everyone I met in school, I would say, "Hey, I want you on my album. I'm working on an album. Hey, I'm working on an album." So literally for 2 or 3 years, everyone kept hearing me talking about this album. that, and so I think it's interesting because even releasing it now, people are like, "Oh my God, it's out!" And I'm like, I literally was promoting the album before 3 years, for 3 years. So yeah, it was literally my main focus, and I literally lived, ate, and breathed this album. Like it's hard to explain. I tell people this album is my child because I feel like I just had a 3 year gestation period. Like it literally has been taking all of me for a while.
Well, it shows, the whole album shows your dedication. I'm fascinated by your process with regard to the demos because how you mentioned how you captured your ideas, isn't that unusual from artists I've talked to? I mean, some have used their phones, some have
Mm,
written it out, notated it. Some have uh, portable rigs or whatever and put it in Pro
mm,
Tools. But I guess whatever works best for you, and I think the results really show. Um, And I appreciate you starting with A Day because that was on my list to talk about, which was the debut single. Really a wonderful, upbeat R&B song with hints of classic R&B, but it's something new. What was
Thank
that
you.
the first song that you wrote for the album?
I think it was the first song. I actually still have the demo. So A Day and Fireflies were both written because I'm very melody based, which is also why I love Mariah Carey. I love her she's very melodic. So I wrote A Day and Fireflies both with melodies first, a cappella. And then when I went to school, I took jazz, graduate jazz theory my first semester, and jazz improv, which were both outside of my classical curriculum. And in jazz theory with Dr. Jeffrey Hayden at Georgia State, I learned about jazz chords and how to notate chords. You know, major seven, you put your little triangle and so I was able to take the melodies I had already written and sit at the piano and took countless hours because I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm learning as I go and matching chords that feel right with the lyrics, with the melody. So I took a lot of meticulous time, just piece by piece, building the songs. Um, and so after I took jazz theory, I didn't even go back to A Day in Fireflies immediately. I wrote my third and fourth song, which were My First Love and Memories. So those are sisters. They were both written as ballads. Then that's one, two, three, four, five, six. I went that spring. I said I need to write singles, so I brought A Day back out, and then I wrote a song called Lightning, which I was inspired to create after going to a jam session. And I saw this electric guitar player, and I was like, I got to write a song for electric guitar. So got his number, wrote a song for electric guitar. And then one, two, three, four, five, six. Well, I lose count. However, and then I get to the rest of the songs. But originally, when I went back to A Day, I wasn't going to even use it because listening to the melody, I was like, this is boring. No one's gonna like this. And a really close friend of mine, she said, I love A Day. It's easy listening. So I was like, okay, I trust her opinion. She likes it, whatever. Put it back out. The only thing that's basically the same from the demo is the chorus. Rewrote the verse
Hmm.
melodically to make it more, that but up. I wrote in that when I revisited, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I like that. But I was gonna change the chorus, but she said, no, keep it easy listening. So I was like, okay, I'll keep it, the way it is. And then I created a new bridge to the song, which was I wrote while putting the chords together um, to the song. And that was A Day. Everyone loved it during the entire process. People would say, "Oh, A Day is my favorite." When I did the rhythm section, people loved it. When I would bring background singers in to do the background, so I was like, I guess this will be a single. A lot of people say test songs, but I feel like I was testing it over my 3 years of bringing so many people around them. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be a single. People like it. So yeah.
That's fascinating because A Day is, well, it's very melodic, obviously, and it's well crafted. I think I was watching a YouTube video on your Facebook channel, and it was an analysis of the song. I think that
Yes,
was
a
a
friend
song
of
that,
mine did that. Yes.
and I thought, whoa, this is way more complex than it sounds at first listen. I mean,
To
there
me
is.
too. To me, I didn't. It was just like I'm making a song. I mean, I didn't even know it was that complex until I would have gigs with people. Like someone would offer me a gig, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I need someone to play for me," and people were stumbling, and I was like, "Oh, I guess it's not as easy because I'm not a pianist." So I'm like, "Oh, it's just the chords, right?" But I said it's not as easy as I thought it was when I made it.
Well, there's such a great blend between musicality and hooks and melody. It is infectious. It brings you in. And then if you listen
Mm,
to it deeper, you know, whoa, there's a lot there.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's still accessible, you know. And I think because I start with melodies first, I'm
Mhm.
always thinking of because I think melodies bring people in. And I remember after I wrote it, I was like, this chorus could have been better to me. You know, I'm always going to be editing in my brain. You know, even classical composers, they're like, there are certain operas where there's the 1908 or the 1908 version and the 1911 version. You know, I think as a creator, you're always like, but I didn't realize the hookiest part, it seems to people, is the I love you, I love you, I love you, love you, I love you, I love you. Which to me was just the transitionary thing. I didn't really spend hours on that, but it's interesting. I love that it still pulls people in.
It absolutely does. You mentioned lightning as well, and I love that feel as well, the upbeat sound of it. And the guitar solo is excellent. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
very good. Um, if you could talk a little bit about Fireflies, I think that'll be a single as well.
Yes. When did I release Fireflies? I forgot. A few weeks ago I released Fireflies.
Okay.
And that is based on my last relationship. There was a moment, basically the album is based on my last relationship in a way. But there was a moment when we met, it was actually during COVID. Um, and there were fireflies everywhere. And I just felt like that was a very magical moment. And so I really wanted to feeling, I don't know, I'm very feeling based. And so I wanted to capture, hopefully, the feeling of that in the song. But the song is multifaceted because
Mhm.
it captures the love feeling, but it also captures the feeling of lyrically the fleeting love, a fleeting love, which someone pointed out to me. Fireflies are actually fleeting, which I didn't realize. You know, they only come out at a specific time, and
Right.
their lights are either, I mean, are also flickering and diminishing, which is interesting because I didn't think of that when I titled it or wrote about it. But Fireflies was inspired by. I looked at songs like "Les Fleurs" by Minnie Riperton when I was writing it, or "Loving You" actually a little bit, and "Underneath the Stars" by Mariah Carey. And I really just wanted to encapsulate whatever the word is, a youthful, naive love. That was my intent with that song. I wanted to capture. I wanted to capture a youthful, naive love that was fleeting, and because in some ways the relationship to me was fleeting, and so I love how the song is about love, and then in the bridge you get uh, a change. You get the turn, you know, of this is not
Mhm.
going to be forever as we intended.
Yeah,
I'm
very
most
good.
proud of that song. I feel like
Uh, I don't, that may be my favorite song, but there are two more which are close to that. So I'll ask you about those as well. And I'll move to the next one, which is Forever.
you like for you. People
How
seem
come
to
you
like
not like that?
forever.
Really?
Yeah, it's shocking to me because to me I thought it was one of the weakest records on the album. So it brings joy to my heart to know that all of my children are getting love. I'm sure every parent has their child where they're like, I'm gonna have to hold your hand a little bit, but it seems like I don't have to really hold Forever's hand, so that's a beautiful thing. Um, I love Forever. Forever is actually a very sensual song. I don't know if that comes across in the song, but I wrote it. I envisioned when I wrote it a forbidden love, which is similar actually. Well, Fireflies was kind of forbidden, but forever like a forbidden love. The story I painted when I wrote it was a story of two people who already have lives and families who come together when they shouldn't be here. I wonder if that comes across in the lyrics. I don't know, but that's just the imaginary tale I created in my brain when I wrote it.
Mhm.
To share a moment where they forget about the rest of the world, and yeah, and or just only the two of them exist.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful song. And I'm not sure if I have the track listing for the album correct, because in my listing it falls kind of towards the middle of the album.
Mm,
And typically people, if you want to give attention to songs, are either at the usually at the beginning of the album.
beginning,
But yeah,
yes.
it's absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that.
You're
Then I'm going
welcome.
to ask another one of my favorites, and then I'm going to back up a little bit. But anyway, we talked about Forever, my first love. No, we talked about Forever. So my first love, did we talk about that yet? I
We
don't
did
know if we
not. I'm
did.
glad you love my first. A lot of
Yeah,
people love
my
my
first
first
love.
love.
Yeah,
So
tell me about it.
my last partner was my first love. So, but it didn't work. So the lyrics, my first love sent from above. So sad, love wasn't enough. Maybe another time, somewhere. Maybe another place, maybe another time, somewhere. That originally was a ballad. Well, I mean, I guess it is still a ballad. It's a little more up tempo
Mhm.
though. It was a slow ballad like Memories, um, because I wrote them together. And then in the rhythm section, when we recorded in the studio, I just said, we did the take slow. And I said, well, can we just do one take fast? And it had a sparkle to it that I loved. So we only did one, that's only one run through. We didn't even rehearse that rhythm section with the band at that tempo. So we did one take and I ended up using it. And I ended up using it. I love my first love. It has a charm to it, I think. And I remember sitting at school looking out the window, really trying to pull the vulnerability out of those lyrics when I wrote that song. And the strings I think are beautiful. And I actually reference Aretha Franklin in the end of the song with that little tag, somewhere, somehow, my first love. I reference daydreaming. Daydreaming and I'm thinking of
I'm
you
thinking of
with
you.
the whole tone scale to kind of give that dreamy, uh, uh, in hindsight feeling, like looking back over nostalgic quality. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you hit it out of the ballpark there too. Let me ask a little bit about the production. Did you produce this yourself?
I produced all of them.
Wow. Yeah, it
How I
is
don't know,
a
but I did.
well, I mean, first of all, it is not easy. The songs aren't easy. As we talked about earlier, they have a lot of meat to them musically, and lyrically, obviously, they
Mm.
do as well. But also the fact that you brought in horns, strings, keyboardist, guitar, bass, and drum, and it sounds wonderful. Talk to me a little bit about the production process. When did were how were these recorded? Were they recorded Pro Tools?
Yes, they're recorded with Pro Tools. So when I first got to school, the head of Professor Ben Yonis at Georgia State, I told him I wanted to work on an album. And he said, for the kind of music you want to do, you need to get a band together and cut the record in the studio, and that will be your record. And so I took that piece of knowledge. And so after writing the songs on paper, I met a pianist called named, not called, named Maxwell Estes. And he would play the chords for me after I would write them so I could actually hear it in motion. So
Okay.
once we did that with the songs, I said, I would love for you to be a music director, and I would handpick people to be in the band. So for each song, first we did rhythm sections. And in writing, I would hear in my inner ear, okay, this song, I want acoustic guitar and bass. And that I don't, it's strange. It was just kind of like I would hear it or feel it, I think through feeling. And so then we cut all the rhythm sections. And then some songs like Kiss Goodnight, I remember the chorus. I told the bass player in the session, I said, I want you to play bump, 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 bump to go with the vocal line. It's just things would come to me as we were doing it. And so for certain songs, people would be like, the songs are finished. And I'm like, no, I hear strings. And so I would find a string player, and then which took the work to even do that was Oh, so like finding a string player who would do it, getting the strings, and Fireflies has harp. I literally probably went through 20 harp emails. Like if people could see my email, all the people that I have messaged to be on this record, I mean on the records, until I finally found a harpist. And just it was really just inner ear based, I feel like primarily. If I heard it and felt that it needed it, then I made sure that it was on there, in spite of people telling me the songs are good, the songs are done. I was like, it's not quite there yet. Um, so yes, and then the same with horns.
That's fascinating. When I looked at fireflies and wrote some notes about it, I wrote "harp?" question mark, and
Right? Like,
then
why is there a harp? I'm
no, it's not why is there heart because it sounds like it was meant to be
to be
there.
there.
It's just it's so unusual to hear something so elaborate in popular music, so well done, so well arranged and thought out. And the introduction of Fireflies is just absolutely gorgeous.
I'm
And then
glad
the
you love
backing
that.
vocal, it is just it's amazing. Um, for the rhythm section, did you give them demos? Did you write it out for them or both?
So
Mm.
so I've now learned that when you give instrumentalists a chart, you should also have the melody line. So going forward, I'm going to do that. But for the first record, I did not. I wrote all the chords, and then my music director Maxwell Estes put my chords on paper, and so we just gave them free charts. And then we had multiple rehearsals where I would be singing the songs with them and giving notes and this and that, and we're gonna swell here, or we're gonna do this, or maybe you stay out in the intro. And so we did that, and then went and recorded them.
Mhm. And the entire process for the rhythm section recording that, how many days did that take? Or weeks or months or years?
Oh, so let me think. I'm looking at my brain. I think we recorded in April. So the first six songs were recorded spring of 23. And I think we probably had 3 or 4 rehearsals before, long rehearsals where we go through the songs, like 2 hour rehearsals. And then we had about a 6 hour recording day for those 6 songs um, at Georgia State. They were all recorded at Georgia State by Ricky Menendez, who recently graduated. And he did a great job as a student engineer as well. Amazing job. Listen, student engineer, shout out to Ricky. And then the last 2 songs, because I really wanted 8 songs, to be Kiss Get Night and Forever, which were recorded spring of 24 in the same place, with probably only 2 rehearsals.
That's amazing. The sound is beautiful. It's lush.
Thank
Um,
you.
having a live rhythm section, then having the overdubs with the guitars and the backing vocalist and the harp works really well.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you. And we
some
changed
great stuff.
instrumentalists a few times because, or I did. I mean, because I didn't. But we changed the guitarist on Lightning a few times because I needed that instrument. I mean, that solo to really give me what it gives now. So that took a while too. Like, oh, okay, I need to try another guitarist. Okay, no, I need to try another guitarist. Okay, I need to try another good. Like really trying to really get the feeling. So it took a while.
Hmm. Wow. Very good. Okay. So next steps for you when the album comes out, are you anticipating some club dates, tour possibly?
I would love to tour. So I have my album release show, which we will be announcing soon, October 22nd at Vinyl at Center Stage in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to do a really big show for that, or I am going to do a really big show for that. So I'm going to have string quartet and horns and background singers and live rhythm section. Um, and I would love to tour. I've been trying to piece something like that together. I'm also submitting A Day in Fireflies to the Grammys for consideration. So looking forward to a nomination or a win. Or a win for those songs in a few categories. And I'm already writing for the second album. I was this morning I was actually demoing what I think will be the title track of the next album. Even though it's the only song I've written so far, who knows what the title track is gonna be. But it may actually be the title track. So I'm already writing for the second album. I want to build catalog. I really want to tour. I really want to tour. I really want to build catalog, and I think those are my main two focuses. I would love to also collaborate with other artists. Um, yes, yes. I'm doing extensive research already for the next album. The sound I want, you know, the subject matter. I'm really digging into it already, and so I think I'm already like, let's get into the nitty gritty of the next album. But yeah, I would love to tour for next year. I really would. I need to send out more emails for that, or it'll come together. Things always do.
Things always do, yeah. Well, it's a wonderful album. It sounds wonderful. I love the compositions. The songs are great. Of course, the vocals are fantastic, and your backing vocal arrangements also very uh, soulful and complex.
Thank you.
Very enjoyable.
Thank you. I don't even know how. I'm very melody based, I tell people. So like for a day I remember sitting at the train station and you have the main melody. And then my brain, because I grew up singing alone,
Mhm.
I didn't grow up in church. So I didn't grow up harmonizing with other people. So when I arrange background vocals, I arrange counter melodies. I'm a melody person. And I
Mhm.
think that's what leads to the complexity because it's like there's a whole nother melody going on. Like in a day you get, how does that song go? Don't kill me. How does the chorus go of that? Wait, I know, I wrote it. It goes, why do I keep thinking about Kiss Goodnight? Babe, never ever will I let background you go. Whoa. It's like there's so many things going on at the same time. I even had a very famous vocal producer in a session, and she was like, well, let's redo this and let's take it. She said, no, that's too much. Or people would always say, no, don't have that background, it's too much. But when you really lock it in with my backgrounds, it's like to some people it sounds like too much, but it fits. It's like it fits together. And so a large part of this process is I had to realize to trust in what I hear and not let other people, because their opinion is their style, and it's like my style works. And so to a lot of people they say, no, that's going to be too much, don't add it, but then it actually works when it's added in there.
And that's fascinating. I mean, I think when I listen to the backing vocals, I think about, well, obviously Luther Vandross, such a great arranger, vocal arranger. Uh,
Mm.
the great Bill Champlin, another great vocal arranger.
Yes,
Just,
yes.
I, I don't think it's too much. I think it's perfect.
Thank you. I mean, I'm even honored when people hear my songs, they bring up people that I'm like, me? These songs? Me? Like the people that people compare my songs to, I'm like, little old me. I just, so it means the world to me to even I don't know. I really have no words for it. It just
Oh,
means a lot.
Travis, Heart Museum really reflects um, wonderful craft on your part. It's brilliantly produced. The songs are great. The playing is great, and it's a lot there to unpack. Is there anything else you want to talk about which I didn't ask about?
I don't think so. I'm very excited about the album. I'm excited to get it out into the world. I actually, don't kill me, went back into the studio, I went back into the studio to work on two songs. So two of those songs are going to be a little different. I added some background vocals to Heartstrings,
Okay.
and then Memories is a little rearranged. So I'll have two versions of both.
And Travis, I have a copy which has a day Tiny Desk audition. Will that be
Yes.
included as well?
I'm thinking of that. I think I am. I'm also playing, which I haven't mentioned in any interview. I really want to do remixes in the vein of Mariah Carey, who I love. So I want to find great remixes to do house remixes for these singles, where I go and recut the vocals. Like I want to do that where we take it into a whole nother direction to hit different markets. Maybe more hip hop or hip hop influenced R&B as well. House, soul house. Like I really want to take it there. So I'm thinking that I may have a project that I include the Tiny Desk on that's different versions of different songs. So I'm not sure yet. That may be like a different project.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, I certainly appreciate your time. I love Heart Museum. It's a wonderful project from start to finish, and I'm looking forward to the release. Hopefully, I'll be free for your release party. I'll come down to see you
Yeah.
live as well. Anything else you want to add before I turn off the recording?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.